Good morning, cubies and newbies. I am Sunshine, and this is the ABCube method for solving Rubik's Cubes. I apologize that I'm late getting started today. I got in a fight on Facebook on a Rubik's Cube site, Rubik's Cube group, and turned out I was wrong. So I had to apologize to everybody before I left it, because when you're wrong, promptly admit it. I have no idea how I did what I did, but I saw a post in the middle of the night. It's like it showed this really dollar store cube, and I'm like, it looks unsolvable, is it? And so I tried to duplicate it on my cube, and the color scheme was wrong, but I think I thought I duplicated it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I duplicated it. And then I solved it from my cube, and it's like, yep, you could solve it. And I sent them to my site, and everyone said, nope, cube's twisted. And I'm like, but no, it looks like the edge is twisted, but the corners are twisted too. So it's duplicatable. And I was stood up for myself because I had fixed it, I had done it, and I knew I was right, and I sounded all smug. And then I'm like, okay, well, let me second guess myself. And I tried to duplicate it again so I could show you guys how to solve it. And I couldn't duplicate it. So I made a mistake, and I had to correct myself on the internet. I had to apologize for being smug. So that's why I'm late. I didn't want to leave everybody mad at me. So embarrassed. Okay. I don't know what I missaw in the middle of the night when I fixed it, but if I can't duplicate it, clearly I was wrong. All right. Anyway, start again. Do I have any? Hi, if you've just joined me, I am Sunshine, and this is the ABCube method for solving Rubik's cubes. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Okay. This is the ABCube method, despite the fact that sometimes I look at things screwy and get smug. This method really works. I just turned somebody off of it by pointing to it when I didn't know when I was full of crap. So, live and learn. Alright, so this is the ABCube method for solving your Rubik's cubes. It works on every size Rubik's cube. It took me 10 years to get this far, and I know it works. Assuming your cube is assembled correctly. Okay, put that caveat in there. On Monday I did I do corners, then edges, and centers, but you can do it in any order you want. There are advantages to doing the centers last rather than first, in case you get a parity. If you work from the corners out, when the parity comes, you can just resolve it with a one quarter turn and not have to memorize a parity algorithm. But other than that, it doesn't matter which order you do it in. As long as you use Formula A and Formula B, you're not going to mess up what you previously did. And so you can pick up a cube in any scramble or any state of scramble or solve, and solve it using A and B, again, according, as long as the cube is assembled correctly. All right, I will have to live that down. Good morning. All right, so on Monday I did the corners, because every cube has corners. No matter which cube you have, you can start with corners. And having done the corners, the 2x2 is done, and every other cube has the corners dictate what color that side is going to be. Because the corners can only be correct to each other in one situation, in one way. So if you have a non-standardized cube and you work from the centers out, you can get confused, because the corners will always be correct in only one position, regardless of what the color scheme is. Man, took a good confidence kick in that one. All right, so On Monday I did the corners. On Tuesday I did the opposite edges, which are yellow and white. Yellow and white edges are done. This one has the center's almost done because I was doing a walkthrough with someone, but still yellow and white left and right, and the edges are solved. The edges are solved. The yellow and white edges are solved, including on this 3x3x9. I'm solving it as well. The only thing I had to do to only pre-step I had to take in this one was, as I was working, I had to make sure that the center was, let me demonstrate. I had to make sure that the center was not horizontal. The center pieces were not horizontal when I started solving the yellows and whites. So make sure they are level, they are parallel to the other layers of the 9x9, or else it won't turn. So once you've done that, you solve it the same way. Corners are done, yellow and white are left and right, those are done. And the next step is to finish off the rest of the edges, which for 3x3 means you're done, and for everything else means you've corrected any parity that you came up with if it occurred. And you can now proceed to the centers with confidence. So let's start with the 4x4. So yellow and white are left and right. So I'm going to take my white and put it face down and ignore it for the rest of the edges, rest of the cage for the rest of the edges. And I'm going to work on these side edges, because we've already established the formula B moves a piece from the top front to the left front or the right front, depending on which way the cube wants to go, and the two columns are where the cube wants to land and where the cube begins, whichever one you're working with. So these are, since we want to work on these sides now, we need to look and see whether any of them are correct and whether any of them are incorrect. This one's correct, this one's not. So I'm going to find one of the cubes that's incorrect, any cube that's incorrect. I'm going to mark it with my sticker, and I'm going to displace this with one of my correct yellows, and that's going to temporarily displace this one, and the yellow is going to go bippity boppity and as I'm placing things, and when the yellow is eventually going to find its way back to the top, and it'll either find its way back to the top exactly as it is now, or with what we call a parity, in which case, so whether it comes back correctly or incorrectly, as long as yellow comes back to the top, then we take the next step to determine, we evaluate what the next step is. So I'm going to displace one of my yellows for this piece. I'm pretending I don't know which one of this is going to be, because on a large cube sometimes you have to count. Like on my 7x here, on a large cube sometimes you have to count, and so I'm not doing that. I'm just marking the piece that's going to move, and then I'm going to move the piece that's going there away. First column is where it's going to land, which is right here, so that goes up and then in, and this is the one I want to displace, so that means this is the cube that I'm moving, and down again. So I displaced my yellow, I put it down here, and not displace this one as well. I'm going to ignore everything except for the cube that I'm currently working on, which is the one on top that's not yellow. So I'm going to ignore all of the yellows except for and look only at the top that's not yellow. I'm not going to pay attention to yellow again until it comes back to the top. So I'm going to place this cube. I'm going to hold the top row. I'm ignoring all of the yellow, and I'm just looking at the front. I'm going to move the rest of the cube and use the corners to dictate. The corners are dictating what color everything is. So this is the red side because of these corners. So I'm going to move the cube until the corners match the front color of the cube I'm working on. Okay, so corners match the front color. It's going in the red direction. So this is my first column, and this is my second column, and I always use the top row. So everything's happening over here. Here's where the magic takes place. So I start by moving the cube away to protect it. Up, in, up, reverse, down, reverse, down. Now the white's there, keeping me honest, telling me which column I was working on, so I don't get confused and mess up the edges. That, like I said, I'm ignoring everything on that's not yellow, everything that is yellow, and looking only for what's not yellow. On the top, white stays down. I hold the top row, I move the cube until the corners match the front color. It's going in the green direction over here, away up, in, up, away down, in, down. Okay, and there's my yellow bouncing around. I'm looking for what's not yellow. I'm ignoring the yellow. And I'm ignoring the white, and they're just doing their business, and the cube is keeping them safe. So, looking for, turn the cube so that the corners match the front. It's orange, so it's going in this direction. So top row, first column, second column. I move it away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. And my yellow came back to the top, so I'm going to set the top, and then I'm going to look at my edges and see what they've done. Alright, so these two are correct, these two are correct, these two are correct, these two are correct, and the yellows are correct. So my edges are now done, the cage is done, and yay, hooray. Sometime, if however the yellow had come back up and if they hadn't been correct, then that is a parody. And a parody is a lie. There are no parodies. They're all lies. The parody is where it looks like there's two pieces that need to be exchanged, and only those two pieces that need to be exchanged. Formula B always moves three pieces around, and so by the nature of the cube, by the mechanics of the cube, there have to always be three pieces to move around. And if it looks like there's two, the piece that you don't see, the third piece, is the piece that you don't see, meaning that it's the layer that has the parity on it is internally 1/4 turn off from where it's supposed to be, and if you make that quarter turn and then set the edges based on that quarter turn, the parity disappears and it's resolved. So you don't have to memorize a big long parity algorithm to fix a parity. All you have to do is identify it, make a quarter turn, and then whereas if it looks like this one's here and this one's here, 1/4 turn in either direction will make one of them correct and the other three incorrect. And so as long as you don't turn it back because you get confused because your centers are already done, as long as you keep that turn intact, your edges can be correctly placed. So no long parity algorithms. Parodies are undone by a quarter turn. I didn't have a parody here, I just demonstrated. So these ones, alright, so what happens on the yellow? Because it's an odd number cube, you can see where the center is, so before we start we can just put that center in the right place and keep going. If we did not do that, we run into a possibility of having a parody on the 3x3. Which you don't usually see because we pay attention to the centers, but if you have a void cube like this, when you can't pay attention to the centers, and so it's possible to get a parody on here, but not here, unless you try solving it with the corners a quarter turned off. If I pretended this, if I couldn't see this and thought it was orange and tried to solve it, it would give me a parody as I'm doing so. So we line up the center before we start working. Once again, white goes down. How are we doing? How's everybody doing today? Y'all having a good day? Better than mine, I hope. I love streaming here. You guys are great. I really appreciate you giving me your time and attention, playing with me, watching me play. Alright, so white is complete. It goes face down, and I'm looking at the side edges, and one of them is here. Doesn't matter how many are incorrect, as long as one of them is incorrect, I'm going to fix it. So I mark that cube, and I'm going to I mark that cube, stay, alright, and I'm going to displace it with one of my yellows, and that yellow, as I place these, keeping my yellow face down, my yellow is going to find its way, my white face down, my yellow is going to find its way back to where it begins. So I don't care about displacing it, then I'm going to displace it now. So the magic all happens over here, so I move the cube away, column up, in column up, reverse down, Formula B. That was Formula B with this is the row, and the 2 columns are where your piece wants to land and where it began. So this piece went there. And I'm ignoring everything that is not the piece I'm working on. And so I'm ignoring all of the yellow on top and looking only at the piece that's not yellow. And I'm ignoring my white as well because it's on the bottom, and just using Formula A and B is not going to mess them up. They'll protect themselves. So I hold the top, rotate the cube until the corners match the front, and the corners dictate what color this is going to be. So the side is going to be blue, and the top color tells me which direction it's going to go. It's not going in the orange direction, it's going in the red direction. So this is my first up, this is my second up, and I start by moving away. Up, in, up, down, in, down. Paying attention to the B. Every other move is horizontal, every other horizontal is the reverse of the one before it. So again, we have a mathematical 0. Alright, so hold the cube, hold the row that has my QB on it. Move the cube so corners match the front. It's going in the green direction. I'm still berating myself for being silly today. I made a mistake in the middle of the night when I was cubing. I'm sorry. Okay, corners match the front. It's going in the green direction. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. This cube is placed. This yellow is bebopping back and forth, and it will continue to do so until, oh, my yellow came back to the top. This is when we check. Yellow came back to the top. If the rest of the cube were solved, this would be a parity, but I'm going to look and see that the rest of the cube is not solved yet. So I find a piece that's incorrect. I displace one of my incorrect yellows into the spot. And I keep working on my not yellow on top. I'm still ignoring the whites because they're going to take care of themselves. Corners match the front. It's going in the blue direction. Up, up, down, down. Looking for what's not yellow on top. Corners match the front. It's going in the green direction. So away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. And we've did it. Hurrah. Okay, so this cube has now resolved any parity that comes up. This cube is correct, and this cube has just has, so it has all the, it has the cage correct. And so moving on to a different one, I'm going to do that same thing for this cube and this cube. I'm going to do this one first because it's shorter. Okay, so white goes down, face down. I haven't worked on my centers yet, and I can, because it's an even number cube, I can place my center. So let's find, here's my yellow that wants to go there. Line it up. I move the cube away. Bring the space down. Move the cube into the space, and the cube in the space back up again. If I wanted to, I could make sure that I can line up. Here's my yellow, here's my other yellow. I can displace that into there. So I've lined up. Maybe sometimes they both line up and sometimes they don't because I scrambled it well. So here's my yellow, and I put it under where it wants to be, like so. It wants to be up there. So I move, Formula A does this. Formula A, move this piece away, move the space down, move the cubies into the space, and the space and the cube back up again. So that's getting my center correct. Make the corners line up. So again, line up the center. My center is correctly lined up. So I'm looking at the sides, but the only one I can really pay attention to is the middle one, because everything else, the middle row is stable, and the other rows colors can be turned. So I'm going to displace one of my yellows down into an incorrect piece. This piece wants to be, between the green and the red center, wants to be green and red, and it's not, so I'm going to displace this down there. Doesn't really matter whether I do 1, 2, or 3, because we're not working on that layer yet. So I move the cube away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Okay. Now that didn't mess up my centers. My centers are still lined up, but that put my yellow here and moved something to the middle that I can work on as this yellow bebops back and forth. So looking only at the center of this, because we're only doing the centers right now. It's green on top, orange in front, so I hold the cube until the corners match the front. Okay. Going the green direction, this is blue direction, this is the green direction, so it's going this way. So formula B, away up, in up, away down, in down, and this is now correctly placed, and I'm looking for another one not yellow. I line it up to, I move the cube until the corners match the front. Okay, so my center is still lined up. It's going in the red direction, so this is my red direction. So I move it away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Okay, yellow is bebopping back and forth. White is still stable. Looking for the not yellow. Corners are lined up to the center. It's going in the red direction, so away, up, in, up, away, down. Hi, Doug. Thank you for spending your morning with me. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so my yellow found its way back to the top, so I have to look and see how we're doing. This one needs to be flipped. This one's correct. This one's correct. This one's correct. This one's correct. So this needs to be flipped, and this needs to be flipped. And this can be done. So again, formula B is going to put this one here and this one back here. So if I move it, I'm going to do formula B and then bring it back forward to the front, and I'm going to place it correctly, and that's going to flip both of these. So away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. You don't have to know what's going to happen. You just have to formula B and then do it. So colors this, the cube that's not yellow is this one. It's lined up to the corners are lined up to it. It's going in the yellow direction, so another formula B. And this, if this were 3 by 3, it would be complete. And my yellow is done, and I'm going to be working, I will come back tomorrow and work on the edges, the next step of this. This has a step that the other ones don't have because 3 by 3 by 9. All right, so this one, yellow, everything's done. This one, the cage is complete, and this one, we're ready for the next step. So let's finish the cage on this one. Again, white goes down. Alrighty, white goes down, and I'm going to, I've centered my absolute center, and if I don't do that now because I can't because it's a 3 by 3 or because it's too big of a cube for me to figure out which one it is, I can always do it later because we've already, if it's not where it is, we'll get a parity on the center row, and then we'll know that we just need to quarter turn it. So I'm going to do one column at a time, one cubey at a time. So I pick a cube that yellow is up, white's down, yellow's on top. I pick a cube on the side that's incorrect. Just pick one, and then I'm going to displace one of my yellow cubes into that spot. I can do this. I can do multiple columns at a time if I want to, but if I don't want to confuse myself with multiple columns, I can just do one at a time, and then when this one's finished, you move to the next one over until it's done. So I'm going to do one at a time this time. So move away. This is my first up is where it's going to land. Reverse, and the second up is where it began. so I want to move this one to that one, and then down and down. So I've displaced a yellow, which also displaced this one. This yellow and green is going to go bip boppity back and forth until as I place the cube that is not yellow. I'm ignoring everything on the cube except for the one cubie I'm working on, which is the one that I've marked. And so I'm ignoring all of the yellow and looking only at what's not yellow on the top. I'm ignoring the white still because it's going to take care of itself, and my yellow is eventually going to find its way back to the top. When it comes to the top, correctly or incorrectly, that's when I reevaluate what to do next. So I'm working with this piece right here. It's the only one I care about. I rotate the cube until the corners match the front, because again the corners dictate the side. So the corners match the front. It's going in the orange direction, so that's this way. So I start by moving, so this is my first column, this is my second column, and I start by moving away. So away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. This cube is now placed correctly, and it gives me a piece on the top that I can then place. Hold the top, bring the corners to match the front, the corners and the rest of the cube to match the front. It's going in the red direction, so away, up, in, second up, away, down, in, second down, and that is placed. And I look for something on top that's not yellow. Corners match the front, it's going in the red direction. Let's do it again. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. And look for what's not yellow. I'm going to come back and do the side edges on this tomorrow, in case, Doug, and I know you have a 3x9, in case you want to come back for that to see it. Not that I don't know that you already know how to solve it. I'm just, we can demonstrate. Also, if anyone wants to demonstrate the cube with me, or wants to learn the cube that they don't understand, I am set up to do that just by incorporating Zoom. I just do a game capture on my Zoom account, and then I can see your cube, and you can see me and my cube, and I can help you. Together we can demonstrate that the system works, and I can help anybody who needs understanding, either through teaching them or having them watch the video. So if anyone is interested in that, or has a non-cuber friend who wants to learn, you can call me. You can contact me. So again, I'm ignoring the white. I'm leaving for nationals in a few hours. Okay. Well, everybody tell Doug good luck. Best wishes. He's going to the nationals. He's going to a competition, and he already mentioned that there's several cubes he's going to be doing. So good luck. I'm gonna. I can do messages. It helps when your fingers are on the right keys. Good luck, Doug. Everyone say good luck, Doug. It will bring you good luck as well if you do. Okay. All right. So corners match the front. It's going in the orange direction. For the nationals, it's only 2x2 and 3x3, but most of it is staffing. Oh, you're part of the staff? Last weekend was 12 events. Oh, okay. So I'm behind the times. Okay, everybody wish. Come on, you guys. I think I'm just in the background for them. Nobody's actually at the computer. They're just watching us. They can't. I'm sure that everybody here would wish you luck, because they would want. They know that that's fun. So back to cubing. Corners match the front, and it's going the orange direction. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. My yellow is bopping around, but I'm ignoring it and looking just at what's not yellow, and my yellow came back to the top. So now I can't ignore it anymore. So I'd look at the sides to see these ones are all correct. These ones, not all of them are. This one is not correct, and it's on the same layer. It's the one next to the corner, so it's the same size and shape as this one. So I'm going to line this up. I'm going to displace one of my yellows that's not an incorrect yellow into the incorrect other. So the incorrect side piece. So formula B again, up, up, down, down. And we're back to looking for what's not yellow. And as we keep doing this, things will get placed, and eventually the yellow will come back to the top again, and this time we'll see how it looks. So orange, so corners match the front. It's going in this direction. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. And looking for another piece not yellow. It's on the top. Corners match the front. It's going in the green direction. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Yellow came back to the top. So set the top and check the sides again. I was working on the column, the layer that's next to the corner, so the ones that are next to the corner is all we're checking right now. So these two are correct, these two are correct, these two are correct, these two are correct. So our yellow is correct on that layer. Now we checked more. This one is not correct, so let's just place this one to the top and start placing. Again, we're going to displace one of our yellows. Away, up, in, that's my column, down, down, and now looking for what's not yellow, because we're ignoring the whites and the yellows, and we're bring the corners to match the front, corners in cube to match the front. It's going in the orange direction. So first column, second column, first column is where it's going to land, second column is where it began. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Look for not yellow. I don't need to mark it since there's only one. Actually, I would do anyway. Okay, blue, bring the corners and cube to match the front. It's going in the red this direction. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Last weekend it was 12 events. How did you do in the 12 events that you did last weekend? Do you want to share with us? Oh, okay, green into the orange direction. It's going to place my yellow back to the top again. Let's see what happens. Down, down. Ha ha ha. That is placed. Yellow came back to the top, so I'm looking to see if the sides are complete. 1, 2, 3, 4, they're complete, so my cube is correct. My cage is correct. 5 personal records. Sweet. I would be, I think that I would be more nervous in front of people, but I'm not sure whether I know how to make that nervousness work for me or whether it would work against me. So you got 5 personal records, 5x5 single, 5x5 average, clock single, clock average, and 6x6 single. I have a question in general. I don't know if you have the answer. Someone was talking to me last week about doing the clock, and I thought that they were talking about the Rubik's clock, but it sounded to me like they were talking about the clock method being a way of being a new way, like 2018 way new, of using the clock or the clock method to solve the standardized cube. And so I'm very puzzled about that. It's not a method as far as you know. Okay, so it's not just me that doesn't know it, if it is a method. Okay, all right, so, because if it is, he said something about, he was telling me, because he was asking me about my new method, and I said that it was published in 2020. He said, oh, so that's the newest one as far as I know. The last method that came out was in 2018. And he called it the clock, and he called it Lou. And I looked for it, and I could not find a method. All I kept coming up with Rubik's clocks. So that's something that I don't know if I'm confused about or not. And Sunshine is so funny when she's confused. I embarrassed myself this morning because I was on Facebook at a cube thing, and someone had a non-standardized colored cube. The Lou method is a method for solving the clock. So when he said he does the clock, he was just talking about solving the clock. He's not talking about using the clock method to solve the Rubik's Cube. That's the understanding that I got too. So I think I'm going to go with that. I think that's correct. But anyway, this morning, in the middle of the night, I'm browsing cube stuff, and someone had a non-standardized colored cube that looked like, you're fairly off topic, yes. If it solves the cube, then I need to look at it and see what's similar and what's not similar. But yes, keep me on topic. Okay, so someone had a non-standard. It was a dollar store cube. It was non-standard. The yellow and red colors were swapped, and I'm like, well, that looks like it's assembled incorrectly. But before I say that, let me see if I can duplicate it, because I don't want to sound silly. And so I tried to duplicate it, and it was awkward. But I got it. I duplicated it. No, I did. Then I just switched to an alternate reality where I didn't. It's the what do you call it when you remember something? Yeah. Never mind me. But I duplicated it, and then I said, okay, yes, it's duplicatable. I swapped. I just pretended that yellow was orange in my head, orange was red, and red was orange, and I reduplicated it and said, yeah, it's not, the corners are incorrect, and so are the edges are also incorrect, but if you solve, they cancel each other out, because if your corners, you have a parity of two parities. The parity in the corner on the corners translates into the parity on the edges, which then cancels each other out. And I've established that before, so I thought, yeah, all right. So I said, it's not flipped. I duplicated it. You can do it this way. And everyone said, nope, it's flipped. And I'm going, no, it's not. And I was just so smug and demonstrating why I was right. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me double check myself. And I tried to recreate it, and I couldn't this time. And I'm like, I must have just been loopy in the middle of the night, and I confused myself. So I had to post my apologies and correct my smugness on the Facebook group. It was rather embarrassing. But even Sunshine can make mistakes, so oh well. If you make a mistake, it's a new opportunity to learn something, and I learned that I need to double check myself before I sound smug. All right. So again, good luck to you. Someone else's, and I am done with my cages are complete on all of these. I'll complete the cage on this one tomorrow by doing the side edges. I still need to do the side edges on this one, because I only did the middle one. I didn't do the 3x9 part of the side edges. So I only did the 3x3 part of the side edges. I didn't do the 9x9 part of the side edges. So I will do that tomorrow. And all of you guys, thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll be back here tomorrow. And if you if you want to help me demonstrate my method, or bring me non-cubers who would like to learn, I'd be happy to do that. Just contact me, and I can incorporate Zoom into the Twitch, and that will be so much more fun. Because I'm much better at one-on-one than I am at monologuing. So thank you for your morning. Go have a good day. Good luck, Doug, and I will see most of you tomorrow. Bye.